At this time, the Montgomery County Board of Education special call meeting is being called to order today, December 17th, 2024, at 5 o'clock p.m. Proper notice has been sent out in a timely manner, and all board members have received the agenda for their review. At this time, we do have a quorum. The next agenda item will be the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been moved and second. Is there discussion? All those in favor of the approval of the agenda do so by the showing of hands. It is unanimous. At this time, we'll receive as information the superintendent search, firm RFP proposals, and I want board members to know that in this process, you have been provided a list of the companies that put in proposals. We will vote on the company of our choosing by showing of hands. The company with majority votes will be selected to conduct the national superintendent search for the Montgomery County Board of Education. If the votes are 3-3-1, for example, the company with the least votes will be removed from the list and another vote will be taken. Again, the company that receives majority vote will be selected to enter into contract for the national superintendent search. All right, at this time, I will call them by letter. All those in favor of company A do so by a showing of hands. And the list is,
Madam Chair,
yes.
yeah, do we not have an opportunity to discuss?
Sure, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay.
May I ask, are we going to discuss by letter?
Let's just go ahead and do the discussion. Not by letter, but just go ahead and go into discussion. There may be need to be some clarification on the process.
Okay.
Well, of the ones that we're looking at right now, candidate C has the most affordable offering. Yes, candidate B was very expensive. I know that we don't just look at the money, we don't just look at the funds. The old saying, you get what you pay for. I'm not certain that that's going to apply here, because when we look at what is being offered by each of the firms, then we see that the variance in pricing is, to me, quite extensive. Two of these were pretty comparable to each other. But when we look at the difference in pricing again and what they have to offer, I still think that the most economical is going to be the best way out. But that's not the main reason that I want to look at either. I also looked at the consultants that these firms had working with them. Firm B has no Alabama, or yes, I'm not going to say Southern, no Alabama ties. And so we want to make certain that whoever's doing this search does understand what we're looking for when it comes to understanding law, Alabama law specifically, but we're also concerned about understanding our community and the needs of our community. I keep looking at your list. I have to understand the A's and the B's. A and C both had some Alabama ties, which I thought was good. Both A and C had gender and ethnicity diversity. I think that C had a wider diversity footprint, but in addition to that, firm C has a consultant who has a more in-depth experience and understanding, I do believe, of the culture, the demographics, the community. There's just such a wide and deep knowledge base of who we are and what we might need. And I think, colleagues, that we should definitely take those things into consideration as we make this selection.
Thank you, Ms. Cloud.
I'm looking at C also. It's almost like they're tacking on extra financial strains. They just don't have a set for what it's going to cost. And they also have, like, it's almost as if it would be an attorney with billable hours. They spend time, they'll charge for phone calls. And I looked at that, and you're right. Sometimes when you see someone that's on there that might know it, they may not have a fresh perspective because things have changed since they had been associated with us. So with that being said, I think it's fair to have a fresh start, and that's for that particular one, C. As far as A, I really was not understanding exactly what they wanted to do. I didn't follow what they were saying very closely. I mean, I couldn't read. But on B, I like the fact that they talked about the board and district responsibilities. I think that's so important. They put it in bullets, what we're supposed to be doing. Now, theirs was expensive, but it comes down to sometimes you have to pay for what you get and to make it worthwhile, because I want this selection to be the very best we can get, and that's why I'm leaning
We
to
are
someone
just
that
discussing.
I'm leaning to the clarity of what they said. I'm leaning to the clarity of what they said. They spelled it out. The school systems they represented, that was like ours. If you're concerned, I'm flipping back through on page. That would be B. On the page where they compared the school systems that they have served on page 15, the middle one, and the one in the middle is, no, the one at the top. The one at the top is very comparable to ours. And if you'll look at what the expenditures are, it's very in line with what we've done before, because I went and did the research last night till 1 o'clock in the morning. 25,000 children, they serve them. That's the expenditures of that. So it's really not that much more than what we've done in the past. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I'm not certain about the pricing. I can go back and look it up, but what I did remember reading was that the 28,000, I think.
The pricing, are you talking about the pricing for which letter?
C
C.
had a maximum cap, which included the expenses for the consultants. I'm not certain where
The price for that was 28,000, not to exceed that amount, and the amount that they gave was like 25. So even if with the things that she said about phone calls and adding all of that, it would not exceed that amount, which was less than
that was my
the
understanding.
other two.
I'm seeing,
Lisa,
Madam
I'm seeing
President,
that as
I,
just,
Ms. Kyle, let me get Lisa.
Madam President, after I looked at these, I agree that C is the most economical. But I think, you know, when you look at what you, if we listen to what Dr. Coleman said, you get what you pay for. I noticed some of the material that they gave us seemed to be, I'm not going to say it, it just didn't, it wasn't, it was kind of chopped. I mean, example, page 11, where they have all the little paragraph things and the questions that they ask on there, they just needed, some of it was just, it was just so generic. And let's face it, if you look at the leadership, I mean, I actually love the leadership, but part of their leadership is somebody that has done work for us before and served right here with us. And I want to move forward. I mean, I want to move forward. And so I just feel like C is the same old status quo. I thought the better of the two for me was A, because it was just a step up. It was, you know, it was a couple more thousand. But when you look at what all you're getting with B, and I know Dr. Coleman said something, the only one that didn't deal with Alabama, that if you look at what they said here, it says, Group C does not place superintendents, nor do we decide who the board interviews. We recruit candidates that are a match with the district's leadership profile. And that was very clear. The candidates, I would think when it goes out there, that there'll be a lot of Alabama candidates, and that will be up to us to choose if we want to do Alabama. But I do think you get what you pay for. I'm going to say this, we don't mind giving raises and all these things, not to teachers, but to central office, but we can't spend the money for our children. I just have a problem with that.
And after Dr. Keefe, we have Ms. Cloud and you, Dr. Coleman.
Okay, thank you.
and then,
You,
okay, thank you. And also, I meant to say this earlier, the search team, I have read books, 2 by one of them and 1 by another one, about superintendents and board relationships. So they know, they have an in-depth knowledge of what that means and to help what looks for, because they helped me at the beginning when I was on the board understand a lot of what the interaction is and what needs to happen. They know what to look for. I don't know them personally, but their work speaks for itself. And it's just real funny that I've read without them, you know, without knowing this was going to be a firm that we would consider. These two are very dynamic researchers, and they know what to do for the collaboration of the board and the superintendent. I did say that. I do know that for a fact because I've got the books.
Excuse me, Madam Chair, I'm not going to try to hog the discussion. One of my colleagues earlier spoke about the innovation as a part of the characteristics for these consultants. We are not looking, these are firms to go out and search. We're not looking for these individuals who would be our consultants to serve as our superintendent. So it's not as if we are looking for someone to come in and do the job. We're looking for them to come in, communicate with our community, uh, develop a relationship with us, develop a relationship with our partners, talk to our students, talk to our parents, talk to our teachers, help get the information, disseminate all of the information, understand what the surveys are asking for, and bring us, as one of my other colleagues mentioned, a cadre, a list of people who would be the ones serving as the superintendent. And so, please don't think that I was not aware that there might be some concerns about the familiarity with one of the consultants, but I think that would be the gift if we went in that direction. The gift would be someone who understands us enough to collaborate with us, get the information, and get it out and publicized. I'm not lobbying necessarily for any firm. I don't know anything about those. I did have two. I think I ruled one out. But I had two that were very close. And when I made that comment, I knew, I have been warned often that you don't just get the cheapest because it's the cheapest, you get what you pay for. But when you look at what we are trying to do, to pay almost double for a search firm to just do the legwork to bring in candidates, I think we are not being as safe with our district's money as we could be. I want us to be responsible. Both A and C are in a range where I think it just makes sense. That kind of money we don't mind spending, and the fact that testing, much better, thank you. The fact that we did have at least two firms here that understand who we are in Alabama, what we are looking for, because as they get these in, they will make some decisions and determination about who to bring to us. And we don't want someone to bring us 4 or 5 candidates and we not like any, and we have to do the search all over again. But
Ms. Cloud?
thank you.
That's assuming a lot, but that's okay. I think what you're saying is that if you look at who's in these firms and look at their work, then they know what they're doing. And I think we're a different board. I think we're a different county. I think we're a different school system than we were 3 or 4 years ago. We've moved forward. So I'd like to see something fresh and different, because when you've had some familiarity, like you said, you sometimes have a skewed vision. I want a brand new with the surveys. They'll get what they want to see about us and have a clearer picture, just like when we used the curriculum audit people. It was painful, but they showed us what we need to do, and we've been striving to do those things. So, no, we're not looking for them to be the superintendent, but we're looking at their credentials to help us find the right one. And you can have a predisposed, even if you're away for 3 or 4 years, you can still have a predisposed concept of what you think we know. I want a fresh look to, because we're different than we were 3 or 4 years ago. And that's.
Thank you, Dr. Keith.
I'm just one sentence.
I don't feel like I have a iron in the fire, but we keep using the argument with Alabama. One's Illinois, one's Nebraska, and the other one's Iowa. So I'm baffled by how any of those would know Alabama. I just got to put that out there.
Is there any further discussion? Well, I want to say that thank you. I do hear, I think we all hear each other, which is good. We hear the passion and we hear the wanting to have the best firm to do the search for one of the best, for a good superintendent for such a time as this. And I hope the public hears the passion, and you can tell there was a lot of studying of the firms so that we can arrive to who we feel will be the best suited for the job that we need to be done. So thank each of you board members for sharing your thoughts. And we'll go move into the voting if you all are ready. At this time, if you are selecting firm A, if you would do so by a show of hands, firm A. All right. Firm B. Firm B. Firm C. All right, thank you. Those votes have been recorded. Sorry. At this time, the majority of the board has selected firm C, Hazard, Young, Ada, and Associates. All right. We'll move into receive as information. I will make the recommendation for the superintendent search firm, but I'll confer to the lawyer to make sure that I'm in order when I do this. I will make the recommendation for the search firm. Okay. At this time, is there a motion? Well, I'm recommending Hazard, Young, Ada, and Associates. Is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
I make the motion to approve the Hazard. I've already put my thing up, but H, Young, and Athena. I make the motion to accept the recommendation.
All right, the recommendation,
Madam Chair,
yes.
I'm sorry, point of order. I'm not understanding. We are in the section for receivers' information. And even though we did carry,
I am so sorry. Thank you for pointing that out. You're right.
okay.
I'm so sorry. We're gonna move back. I skipped over Mrs. Erica, thank you, Brenda, Powell, Attorney Powell. You're up next. I kind of got ahead of myself. Thank y'all for being patient. Attorney Powell.
Good evening, Madam Chair, board
Good
members.
evening.
I'm presenting to you to receive as information the law clerk position. I've had conversations with you individually regarding this. The law clerk position is a support staff position for the general counsel and paralegal. And the law clerk is generally a law student that may be getting credit for as an externship. It is also an hourly position. It just depends on that particular student. Most law schools will not allow students to work beyond 20 hours a week. And if it's an externship, then the students do not work for pay. They work for credit hours, which is determined by their law school. Um, the position duties are similar to the paralegal. It includes, and I'll just read some of it. You all have the copy of the job announcement. Um, the position would assist the general counsel in gathering information, materials, documents, reports, and evidence from various departments in response to employment and student action in preparation for proceedings. They will prepare for meetings and hearings, mediations, arbitrations, any type of legal proceedings, and work with general counsel in communicating and working with outside counsel for any legal issues or matters that may arise within the district. This position, as I mentioned, is for a law student who is generally a second or third year student. Most law schools will not allow the first year student to have a job unless they are in like the part-time law school or part-time law program. But generally, second or third year law students are allowed to work at up to 20 hours per week. The duties of this position would also include answering and returning phone calls, voicemails, things of that nature. And it would require that the law student has proficient legal research and writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Powell. Are there any questions? Dr. Key?
Madam President, so point of clarification, you do have a paralegal, or this is serving as your paralegal?
So technically, no, I do not have a paralegal. The paralegal job announcement was posted maybe about 32 days ago. There were some technical difficulties as far as the job posting being discoverable online. So there have not been any application submissions as of yet. So this particular role would be in addition to the paralegal.
And the pay, there's not pay, it's just that she's getting, or he or she would be getting college hours for an externship.
So based off of the legal budget, it could potentially be a paid position, which would be part-time and temporary. So it's usually a semester, but some students will do it as an externship, kind of like an internship. And so in that instance, it would not be paid.
All right, the superintendent will do the consider for approval.
Thank you, Madam President. Up for consider for approval, Superintendent Search Firm, RFP, ISC.
HYA.
B. It is Hazard, Young, Adia, and Associates.
HYA.
The superintendent has made a recommendation. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
Sorry, did she recommend HYA? I didn't.
Yes.
Okay.
The-
Then I make the recommendation to accept it.
You move.
Motion, I'm sorry, make the motion to accept it.
All right, it has been moved, I'm sorry, there's a motion, is there a second?
A second.
It has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you are in favor of HYAA, do so by a showing of hands. Well, all right, it was, could you show your hands one more time? I'm sorry, I have to count 1, 2. All right, 5, 1. All right. Our next order of business, will go back to Interim Superintendent Wilson.
Madam President, up for consider for approval, I recommend Law Clerk job announcement.
All right, the superintendent has made a recommendation. Is there a motion to accept this recommendation?
Madam President, I motion that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been moved and second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, are we ready for the vote? If so, do so by showing of hands if you are in favor of the superintendent's recommendation. All right, it looks unanimous. All right, the next order of agenda will be brought to us by the interim superintendent.
Yes, under consider for approval, I recommend personnel report, classified personnel.
The superintendent has made a recommendation. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the superintendent's recommendation for approval of personnel report, classified personnel.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been moved in second. If you are in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, do so by a showing of hands. It's unanimous. All right, Madam President. I'm sorry.
I know what you meant.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent.
Madam President, under consider for approval, I recommend personnel report, classified personnel addendum.
The superintendent has made a recommendation. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation?
Madam President, I make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation.
Is there a second?
I second it.
It has been moved in second. All those in favor of the superintendent's recommendation, do so by a showing of hands. It is unanimous. All right. At this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. Our next meeting date is Tuesday, January 14th for the regular board meeting, and Tuesday, January 14th, immediately following that board meeting will be the board's work session. Thank you.